My shoulders ache as I push open our front door, the familiar strain of an 8-hour shift at the bookstore settling into my muscles. The moment I step inside, something in the air changes. The living room feels charged, heavy with an atmosphere I've learned to recognize since childhood. My mother stands in the center of the room, arms crossed, and my stomach drops before she even opens her mouth. "There you are." Her voice carries that razor edge I know too well. Jessica perches on the edge of the couch, lower lip trembling in a performance I've seen 1,000 times before. On the coffee table between them lies a crisp white letter, university letterhead clearly visible even from where I stand. My eyes catch fragments of words, academic dishonesty, and immediate expulsion. "This is your fault." Mom's voice cracks through the air like a whip. "You put too much pressure on Jessica. She had no choice but to cheat." I grip the doorframe, my mind struggling to process the absurdity of the accusation. Jessica, perfect Jessica, has been caught cheating on her finals. And somehow, standing in our dimly lit living room, I'm being blamed for it. "You're always showing off how perfect you are," Jessica chimes in, her voice wobbling. "I just wanted to be as good as you." The words hit me like a physical blow. My brain spins backward through time. 8-year-old me in the principal's office, Mom's fingers digging into my wrist as she blamed me for Jessica's stolen lunch money. The security footage later proved Jessica took it herself, but the apology never came. Christmas morning after Christmas morning, Jessica unwrapping designer handbags while I received secondhand coats with price tags still attached. "Jessica deserves nice things," Mom would say. "You don't need to be spoiled." Senior year floods back. 2 part-time jobs, saving every penny for a car, only for Mom to demand the money for Jessica's new laptop. Always Jessica, always my fault, always my sacrifice. Mom's nails dig into my arm now, dragging me back to the present. "This family has done everything for you, and this is how you repay us? You make Jessica feel like she'll never be good enough?" Something shifts inside me. 23 years of bending, breaking, accepting, and suddenly, I can't do it anymore. I pull my arm free, lifting my chin to meet her gaze. "I had nothing to do with this," I say, my voice shaking but firm. "Jessica cheated. That's on her." The silence that follows feels like the moment before a storm breaks. Mom's face contorts with fury as she snatches up the expulsion letter, thrusting it in my face. "You ungrateful brat!" The paper crumples in her grip. "You're the reason this family is falling apart." The words crack something inside me, something fundamental and irreparable. I look at my mother, really look at her, and for the first time, I see the truth. She doesn't see me as a daughter. I'm just a convenient scapegoat, a receptacle for every failure, every disappointment, every flaw she can't bear to acknowledge in her golden child. My eyes drift to Jessica. She watches in silence, not apologizing, not even pretending to be grateful for Mom's defense. Instead, there's an almost smug satisfaction in her expression. She knows she'll walk away from this unscathed, just like always. The weight of years presses down on my shoulders, heavier than any bookstore shift. If I stay, this will be my entire life. Always sacrificing, always invisible, always wrong. My gaze falls on the front door, just a few feet away. It's still open from when I walked in, showing a slice of the darkening sky beyond. That door represents everything I've never had. Freedom, uncertainty, the chance to live for myself. "What?" Mom scoffs, following my gaze. "You're leaving? You have nowhere to go. You'll be back in a week, begging for my help." I don't respond. Instead, I turn and walk to my bedroom, the smallest in the house, barely furnished. My hands move on autopilot, stuffing a duffel bag with essentials, a few changes of clothes, a worn notebook, the $60 in cash I've managed to hide from Mom's borrowing. Before I leave, my eyes catch on a photo frame. Me as a child, smiling, before I understood what this house would become. I take it with me. The night air hits my face as I step outside. It's cold, but somehow lighter than any breath I've taken in that house. Behind me, Mom's voice carries across the yard. Go ahead. Don't come crying to me when the world chews you up. I don't look back. If you were me, would you have left, even if you had nowhere to go? Mom's words chase me down the empty street. Asterisk. You'll come crawling back. You have nothing. No one. Asterisk. The night air wraps around me like a cold sheet, and my fingers clench tighter around the strap of my duffel bag. $60. A change of clothes. A photo I should have left behind. The weight of what I've done crashes over me in waves, each step carrying me further from everything I've ever known. The neighborhood stretches endless and dark ahead of me. Porch lights flicker on one by one, families settling in for dinner, for movie nights, for all the normal things that happen in normal homes. My chest tightens. Where do you go when home stops being home? I walk until my feet ache, until the residential streets give way to commercial districts. The hum of distant traffic mixes with the chirp of crickets, and still I walk. Pride keeps me from pulling out my phone, from scrolling through the short list of contacts who might let me crash on their couch. I'm not going to prove Mom right. Not tonight. 2 hours in, exhaustion hits like a physical blow. My shoulders slump as I spot the glowing sign of the 24-hour train station. Not safe, exactly, but shelter. Better than nothing. The fluorescent lights inside cast everything in a sickly yellow glow. A handful of people occupy the hard plastic seats, a woman clutching a garbage bag full of what looks like clothes, a man in a business suit passed out across 3 seats, someone muttering to themselves in the corner. I choose a spot near the vending machines, as far as possible from the muttering man. The tile floor sends cold seeping into my bones the moment I sit. My stomach growls, reminding me I haven't eaten since breakfast, but I keep the $60 tucked deep in my pocket. Who knows when I'll see money again? Sleep proves impossible. Every shuffling footstep jolts me awake. Every announcement over the crackling PA system sends my heart racing. The vending machines hum, an endless drone that sets my teeth on edge. By the time dawn creeps in through the grimy windows, my throat feels like sandpaper, and my head pounds with the kind of exhaustion that makes the world tilt sideways. A new wave of commuters flows in, their fresh clothes and coffee cups a stark reminder of how far I've fallen in just 12 hours. I catch my reflection in a window-wrinkled shirt, tangled hair, the kind of hollow-eyed look I used to see in homeless people, and think, how did they end up there? Asterisk. Now I know. One bad night. One moment of standing up for yourself. One realization that the devil you know is worse than the devil you don't. A single tear slips down my cheek before I can stop it. I swipe it away hard enough to leave my skin stinging. Crying won't help. Nothing will help except getting up, finding work, surviving. I force myself to my feet, muscles protesting after hours on the cold floor. If I don't find a job today, I won't make it through another night like this. The thought should terrify me, but instead it settles in my chest like steel. I've spent 23 years surviving Margaret Sullivan's house. I'm not about to let the real world break me now. The morning passes in a blur of rejection. Every storefront, every help-wanted sign leads to the same response. We're not hiring. The fast food manager barely glances up from his phone, dismissing me with a wave. By noon, my legs shake with each step, and the gnawing in my stomach has turned to a constant ache. Then I spot Ida's small diner tucked between a laundromat and a pawn shop. The neon sign flickers weakly. Lopez's Home Cooking. Through the window, I watch a woman with steel gray hair tied back in a tight bun directing staff with sharp gestures. The bell chimes as I push open the door. The woman Marianne Lopez, according to her name tag, looks me up and down, taking in my wrinkled clothes and desperate expression. Ever washed dishes before? She asks, no preamble. I can learn. The kitchen air hits like a wall of heat. Grease coats every surface, and the mountain of dishes seems endless. By closing time, my fingers are raw and pruned, my back screaming. But when Marianne hands me $40 in cash, it feels like more than money. It feels like survival. That night, curled up in the same train station corner, I allow myself to check my college fund account at the ATM across the street. The account I've been saving since I was 14, working every summer job, every holiday shift. If there's anything left, maybe I could still balance. $0. My hands shake as I navigate through the transaction history. Multiple withdrawals, all under Margaret Sullivan's name. Designer clothes, concert tickets, private tutors for Jessica. The screen blurs as tears well up. She didn't just kick me out, she made sure I couldn't leave on my own terms. Made sure I'd have nothing. But something shifts in my chest, something harder than despair. If Margaret Sullivan could steal my future, I'll build a new one. Without her. Without any of them. Need more hours? Marianne asked the next morning, watching me scrub pots with mechanical precision. Yes. My friend owns a coffee shop. She needs help. You want in? I pause, sponge dripping suds onto my shoes. 2 jobs means twice the escape velocity. When can I start? The coffee shop is different customers instead of dishes, lattes instead of grease. My first real paycheck feels like victory, small but mine. Every dollar is a brick in the wall between me and Margaret Sullivan's voice in my head. Then I see it checking my remaining account balance at the end of the month. A transaction made in my name weeks after I left. Margaret Sullivan, still pulling strings, still using my identity like it belongs to her. I should be angry, should report it. But something colder takes root instead. Let her think she's won. Let her keep digging her own grave. One day, when I'm ready, all her fraud will come back to haunt her. And this time, I'll be the one watching her fall. My hands shake as I count out $1 bills on my threadbare mattress. 23, 24, 25. The bills are wrinkled and stained from 12-hour days split between Bean and Brew and Lopez Diner. I stuff them into a worn envelope, already knowing it's not enough for rent. The alarm on my phone blares at 4:15 a.m. Another day, another shift. I drag myself up, muscles screaming from yesterday's double. The mirror shows dark circles under my eyes that no amount of concealer can hide. But pride means nothing when you're one missed paycheck away from sleeping in your car. At Bean and Brew, I've mastered the art of becoming invisible. Head down, movements efficient, voice pleasant but forgettable. Until I'm not. Seriously? A woman in a cream-colored blazer sneers as I fumble her complicated drink order. Why do they even hire people who can't do their job properly? My cheeks burn, but I keep my expression neutral as I remake her drink. Inside, rage bubbles up like scalding milk in the steamer. I want to tell her about my cramping fingers from 8 hours of dishwashing yesterday. About choosing between dinner and bus fare. I said, sugar-free vanilla, she snaps, pushing the drink back across the counter. I remake it again, and again, and again. That night, I collapse onto my bed without bothering to change. The springs dig into my back through the thin mattress, but I'm too exhausted to care. As I turn my head, a familiar scent catches my attention, soft, soothing lavender. My eyes find the source, an old handmade candle tucked in the corner of my duffel bag, one of the few things I grabbed when I left. The scent pulls me back 12 years. Mom's kitchen, but on a rare day when she and Jessica were out. Me, carefully melting wax in an old pot, pouring it into mismatched jars from the recycling bin. The pure satisfaction of creating something beautiful from nothing. I sit up slowly, mind racing. My laptop is already open to my checking account, $212.47. Just enough for supplies. If it doesn't work, my finger hovers over the place order button. In my head, Mom's voice sneers, asterisk. You'll fail. You always do. Asterisk. I click. 3 days later, my tiny apartment fills with the warm scent of melting wax. I measure temperatures obsessively, test fragrances, adjust ratios. Each candle takes shape under my hand-simple mason jars, filled with carefully layered colors and scents that remind me of comfort, of home. Not the home I had, but the one I always wanted. The Etsy shop setup takes hours. I photograph each candle under the harsh fluorescent bathroom light, trying to make them look professional. The descriptions flow easier words about warmth, comfort, peace, things I'm still learning to find. Days pass. No sales. I refresh the page between customers at Bean and Brew during my breaks at the diner, before falling asleep at night. Nothing. The voice in my head that sounds like mom grows louder. What made you think anyone would want this? Asterisk? Thena notification. 1 candle. $12. I stare at the order confirmation until my vision blurs. It's barely enough to cover shipping, but it's something. It's proof. The validation lasts exactly 8 days. Then the reviews start. Poor quality. Arrived broken. Smells like chemicals. Worst purchase ever. Don't waste your money. Amateur hour. Get a real job. My stomach turns to ice as I read the usernames. Margaret's 1962. Jessica Love's 2 Shop. They found me. Later that night, I discover a Reddit thread. Jessica's username is unmistakable, mocking my pathetic little candle shop and reminding everyone that some people should know their place. The rage that fills me isn't hot like before. It's cold, crystalline. For the first time, I see the truth with perfect clarity. They don't just want me to stay down. They want to make sure I never get up. You look like you're plotting murder. I snap my head up from my phone to find Riley, my Bean and Brew coworker, watching me with concern. She's wiping down the counter after closing, her blue hair falling in her face. I'm fine, I say automatically. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. Riley leans against the counter. Spill. I hesitate, but something in her expression genuinely concerned rakes through my walls. The whole story spills out. The candles, the reviews, the sabotage. Instead of the pity I expect, Riley's eyes light up. Dude, you need to get on TikTok. Let me help. I'm good at this stuff. Before I can protest, she's pulling out her phone, arranging my sample candles on the clean counter. The light catches the glass, making the colors shimmer. Small businesses deserve support, she narrates, filming. Let's get this girl some orders. I watch her post it, certain nothing will come of it. Another dead end, another failure. I've never been more wrong. The next morning, my phone won't stop buzzing. 10,000 views, 20,000 views, 50,000 views. Orders flood my inbox. 50, 100, 200. Numbers I never dared to dream about. Then, buried in the avalanche of notifications, an email that makes my heart stop. From Brand Partnerships, Lux Aroma. Subject: Partnership, Opportunity. We love your work. Would you be interested in discussing a potential collaboration? Asterisk. My fingers hover over the keyboard as that old, familiar fear creeps in. What if Mom finds out? What if Jessica tries to take this away too? But something has changed. The voice in my head that sounds like Mom isn't the loudest anymore. My voice is. I click reply. The scent of lavender and sage fills my tiny home studio as I pour another batch of candles. My hands move with practiced precision, measuring and mixing while order notifications ping on my phone. 300 units to ship by Friday. 2 wholesale accounts pending approval. 1 brand collaboration meeting next week. I pause, letting the familiar piece of creation wash over me. Just 6 months ago, I was slinging lattes at Bean and Brew, my fingers perpetually sticky with caramel syrup. Now my hands smell of essential oils and success. Today's my last day. I had told my manager, handing over my apron. She'd hugged me tight, whispering, "Go get him," in my ear. That moment felt like stepping off a cliff, terrifying and exhilarating all at once. But my online orders had finally overtaken my cafe wages. It was time. Celine? Riley pokes her head through the studio doorway, waving her phone. You might want to see this. My stomach tightens at her tone. She hands me her phone, open to a local news article. The headline hits like a punch to the gut. Local family faces foreclosure after years of financial mismanagement. There's my childhood home in the grainy photo, the peeling yellow paint even more obvious in newsprint. The article mentions Margaret Sullivan by name, my mother, and details how she's 3 months behind on mortgage payments. My eyes catch on a quote from a neighbor. It's sad to see. That house used to be so well maintained, but ever since her older daughter left. I hand the phone back to Riley, my hands steady. I need to finish these orders. There's more. Riley's voice softens. Jessica dropped out, failed most of her classes last semester. The loans came due and she trails off, watching me carefully. I turn back to my work table, checking the temperature of my wax. Not my problem. But that night, as I'm packaging the last orders, my phone buzzes. Unknown number, but I recognize the area code. Home. My mother's voice crackles through the speaker before I can decline. Celine, honey. The familiar manipulation oozes through her words, but something's different. A tremor. Uncertainty. I miss you. Family should stick together. Your sister is struggling. We all are. We need you. I let the silence stretch, feeling the weight of 2 decades of guilt and obligation press against my chest. But it doesn't crush me anymore. I end the call without speaking. The texts from Jessica start flowing immediately. I know I was a bad sister. I was just jealous. You were always so much better than me. Please, Celine, I have nowhere else to go. I block both numbers and return to my work. The wax melts, the orders ship. My business grows. 3 days later, Riley bursts into the studio again. It's gone viral. She shows me a social media post from Mrs. Chen, our old next-door neighbor, the one who used to slip me extra cookies when I helped her with her garden, the one who saw everything. I watched that girl get blamed for things she didn't do her whole life, the post reads. Celine Sullivan was treated like a maid while Jessica Sullivan was worshipped. Now that Celine has a successful business, suddenly they miss her? Where was that love when she was working 3 jobs to survive? The comment section explodes with support. Old classmates emerge with their own stories. The truth about Jessica's academic cheating scandal resurfaces. Someone mentions how she used to steal other students' work. A former teacher confirms it. I watch it all unfold, with a strange detachment. The empire of lies my mother built around her golden child crumbles. Post by post, share by share, Jessica's name becomes toxic in professional circles. No one will hire her now. The next time my mother calls, she uses Jessica's phone to bypass the block. Her voice shakes. No superiority, no arrogance, just raw desperation. Please, she whispers, we have nothing left. Jessica's call comes an hour later, her words stumbling between sobs. I have nothing left. I was horrible to you, I know, but please, help me. I stand in my studio, surrounded by the business I built from nothing. The fresh batch of candles cools on the rack, their surfaces smooth and perfect. Orders wait to be shipped to customers who value my work. My bank account holds more money than my mother ever borrowed from me. The power has shifted. They know it. I know it. I pick up a candle, examining its flawless surface. For years, they controlled every aspect of my life. Now they need me to survive. The irony would be sweet if I could still taste it. But standing here, in the life I've built for myself, I realize I feel nothing for them at all. No anger, no satisfaction, no love. The bell above my shop door chimes. I look up to see 2 familiar figures step inside, my mother and Jessica, shadows of their former selves. Their designer clothes are gone, replaced by worn department store clearance. The makeup can't hide their exhaustion. My mother's eyes dart around the studio, calculating the value of everything she sees. Even now, she's looking for something to take. Celine, baby? Her voice drips with false sweetness. I know we've had our differences, but you're successful now. You can afford to help your family, right? Jessica steps forward, her hands twisting together. I'll do anything, please. I'll work for you. Just don't let me end up like this. I look at them. Really look at them. The women who made my childhood a prison. The mother who stole my future to fund her favorite daughter's failures. The sister who watched me break and smiled. They wait for my response. Desperate hope painted across their faces. They expect the old Celine, the one who would sacrifice everything to earn a scrap of their approval. But that Celine is gone. In her place stands a woman who built herself from the ashes they left behind. The candle in my hands has cooled completely now. I set it aside with the others, ready for shipping to someone who will appreciate its worth. No, I say simply, and turn back to my work. The clicking of my heels against polished marble echoes through the lobby as I approach my office. Through the glass walls, I spot them before they see me, Mom and Jessica, looking small and displaced among the sleek furniture and modern art pieces I've carefully selected. The expensive furnishings reflect the life they never imagined I'd have. Abstract paintings worth more than our old house, ergonomic chairs that cost more than Jessica's last semester of college, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city that finally belongs to me. Jessica perches on the edge of a leather chair, her designer clothes from better days now wrinkled and worn. Her hollow cheeks and bitten nails tell a story of sleepless nights and mounting debts. Mom stands rigid beside her, hands clasped in a pose I recognize from countless parent-teacher conference-issuer concerned mother act. My stomach doesn't drop anymore when I see them. That's new. Celine, sweetheart. Mom's voice breaks as she spots me, tears welling up right on cue. Her hands tremble as she reaches toward me, a masterful performance of motherly remorse. We've made mistakes, I see that now, but we're still family. I let the silence stretch, watching as Jessica's fingers twist in her lap. She looks thinner now, her once perfect makeup slightly smudged, the designer bag at her feet a knockoff of last season's style. The golden child tarnished at last. Family helps each other, right? Jessica's voice wavers, but I catch the familiar manipulative undertone. She leans forward, desperation crackling beneath her practiced vulnerability. After everything, you wouldn't just abandon us, would you? The irony almost makes me laugh. Instead, I cross my arms, tilt my head, and ask the question that's been burning in my throat for years. Oh, but when I needed help, where were you? Mom flinches, as if I'd slapped her. Good. When I worked 2 jobs and still had to give Jessica my savings, where were you? Each word drops like ice into the pristine quiet of my lobby. When I had nowhere to sleep but a train station, where were you? When you stole my college fund? When you laughed as I struggled, where were you? We didn't know, Mom stammers, her performance cracking. The perfectly curated tears dry up as reality sets in. We thought you'd be fine on your own. A cold smile curves my lips. Well, you were right. I was fine. I am fine. And I did it without you. Jessica's face crumples, reality finally piercing her bubble of privilege. No education after the cheating scandal, no career prospects, no safety net. The golden child finally facing consequences. The truth of her situation reflects in the windows surrounding us is nothing now, and she knows it. I was a kid, Jessica's voice cracks. I didn't know any better. And now you're an adult, facing the consequences of your actions. I meet her gaze steadily. Welcome to the real world, Jessica. I reach into my desk drawer, pull out 2 bus tickets. They're one-way tickets back to our old town, the place Mom swore she'd never return to, where the streets are too narrow and the dreams too small. I lay them on the glass coffee table with precise movements. I won't leave you with nothing. Here's a way home. Take it or leave it. Jessica snatches up one ticket, rips it in half. Her hands shake with the same entitled rage that once made me feel so small. You think this is funny? You think you're better than us? No, Jessica. I straighten my blazer, smooth imaginary wrinkles. I know I'm better than you. Mom stares at the torn pieces of paper scattered across my pristine floor. She doesn't argue anymore, doesn't plead. She knows this is over. The city hums beyond my windows, a rhythm of success she'll never be part of. I take one last look at them, the mother who never saw me, the sister who never earned her crown. Years ago, their judgment could shatter me. Now, they look small, insignificant. Just 2 more failed attempts at manipulation in my carefully constructed world. I built this life without you, I say, turning toward my office. I think I'll keep living it without you. My heels click against marble again as I walk away. Behind me, I hear Jessica's ragged breathing, Mom's stifled sob. The sound of their desperation fades with each step. I don't look back. I've spent enough of my life looking back. Morning light streams through my floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the bamboo floors of my apartment. I breathe in the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee beans, letting the quiet settle around me like a familiar blanket. No tension, no walking on eggshells, just peace. My phone buzzes with a notification. Another 5-star review for Lunar Lux candles. I scroll through the comments, a smile tugging at my lips as I read about how our signature scents have transformed people's faces. 3 years ago, I was mixing essential oils in my cramped studio apartment, praying I could sell enough to make rent. Now I have 15 employees, a warehouse in Brooklyn, and more orders than we can handle. I pause at my bedroom mirror, taking in my reflection. The dark circles that once haunted my eyes have faded. My shoulders no longer hunch with the weight of constant criticism. I look free. The drive to my old neighborhood feels surreal. Each familiar turn stirs memories I've long since buried, but they no longer have the power to wound. When I round the final corner, I almost don't recognize the house. The pristine lawn Margaret took such pride in has grown wild and unkempt. Paint peels from the shutters like dead skin, and a crooked for sale sign swings in the autumn breeze. I park across the street, studying the abandoned shell of my childhood prison. No cars in the driveway, no lights in the windows, just empty rooms holding the ghosts of arguments long past. Through a broken window, I can see the living room where I last stood my ground, the spot where I finally said no. A strange laugh bubbles up in my throat, not bitter, not haunted, just surprised. This place that once seemed so massive, so suffocating, now looks small and insignificant. Like a set from a play I no longer have to perform in. The community center downtown buzzes with afternoon energy as I push through the glass doors. In the main room, a group of young women gather around tables, some taking notes, others sharing stories. My mentorship program started small, just me and 2 others who'd escaped similar situations. Now we have 30 regular attendees. Maya sits in her usual corner, dark hair falling forward to hide her face. At 16, she reminds me so much of myself it aches. Her parents kicked her out last month for refusing to give up art school for the accounting degree they'd chosen. Now she crashes on friends' couches, working part-time at a diner, clinging to her dreams with both hands. How do you stop being afraid they'll come back? She asks when I sit beside her. Her voice trembles, but her eyes hold steady. That they'll find a way to hurt you again? I take her hand, feeling the slight tremor in her fingers. You don't have to stop being afraid. I tell her the truth I wish someone had given me. You just have to stop letting the fear control you. Walking through the center after our session ends, I think about the fundamental difference between us. Margaret spent her life tearing people down. Jessica took everything she could get, but I chose another way. Every time I help someone stand taller, every time I share what I've learned about survival and success, I feel a pride Margaret never knew, the kind that comes from lifting others up instead of crushing them. Later, standing on my balcony with the city lights spread out below me, I think about Margaret and Jessica, about the patterns they're still trapped in, the cycles they'll never break. I chose a different path. Every young woman I help find her strength. Every candle we ship with a handwritten note of encouragement. Every moment I choose kindness over bitterness. It's another step further from becoming them. The night air carries the faint scent of autumn, crisp and full of possibility. I whisper words I've finally come to believe. Some revenge doesn't require action, just success. I take a deep breath and let the past fade into the darkness below, where it belongs.
I never imagined my own family would betray me like this, yet here I stand in the back of this suffocating courtroom, watching my father's face contort with rage as Mr. Jenkins reads grandfather's will. The mahogany-paneled walls seem to close in with each word, and the musty air grows thicker with tension. My cousin Sophie catches my eye from across the room, then quickly looks away. The Carter family ancestral home, including all contents and surrounding property, is hereby bequeathed to my granddaughter, Emma Carter. My heart pounds against my ribs. The room erupts in harsh whispers, a storm of disbelief and anger. Dad's neck flushes crimson as he whips around to glare at me. Uncle Jason grips his shoulder, but his own face betrays the same shock. This can't be right. Dad's voice cuts through the chaos. There must be some mistake. Mr. Jenkins adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses, unfazed. The will is quite clear, Mr. Carter. Your father was explicit in his wishes. I grip the back of the wooden bench, steadying myself. The room spins with fragments of memories, last summer's heated argument filtering through the study door as I stood frozen in the hallway. Grandfather's voice, usually so gentle, sharp with anger. I know what you're doing with the company, Robert. Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? Dad's response had been cold, calculated. You're an old man living in the past. Business isn't done your way anymore. Money laundering isn't business, Grandfather had shot back. It's criminal. The memory shifts to 3 months ago, just weeks before Grandfather's death. I'd found him in his study, surrounded by stacks of papers, his face gray with exhaustion. When I'd asked if he was okay, he'd gripped my hand with surprising strength. Promise me you'll protect it, Emma. The house, the legacy, all of it. Don't let them destroy everything I've built. I hadn't understood then. I do now. Emma. Dad's voice yanks me back to the present as he strides toward me, his expensive shoes clicking against the hardwood floor. We need to discuss this immediately. There's nothing to discuss. My voice comes out stronger than I feel. Grandfather made his choice. You don't understand what's at stake here. His words carry a threat beneath their surface. Uncle Jason hovers behind him, conflict etched in the lines around his eyes. The house needs to be sold. The market is perfect right now, and I have buyers lined up. Another memory flashes. Dad's construction company office late one night last month, voices carrying through the thin walls as I'd waited to drop off some paperwork. A man I didn't know speaking in urgent tones. The feds are starting to ask questions, Robert. We need that money cleaned, and we need it fast. My stomach churns. You mean your money laundering operation needs the cash? The words escape before I can stop them, quiet enough that only he and Uncle Jason can hear. Dad's face pales. Watch your mouth, he hisses. You have no idea what you're talking about. But I do. I've seen the signs for months. The mysterious meetings, the shell companies, the way money disappears and reappears through his construction projects. Grandfather saw it too. That's why he did this. The house isn't for sale. I straighten my spine, meeting his gaze. Not now, not ever. You ungrateful little... Dad lunges forward, but Uncle Jason pulls him back. Robert not here, Jason mutters, his eyes darting around the crowded courtroom. I step backward, my heel catching on the carpet. The other relatives watch with barely concealed interest, vultures waiting to see who'll draw blood first. The weight of their stares presses down on my shoulders. Miss Carter, Mr. Jenkins's voice cuts through the tension. There's one more stipulation. The property cannot be sold without your explicit written consent. Your grandfather was quite insistent on this point. Dad's jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscle jump. This isn't over, he growls, turning on his heel. Uncle Jason follows, but not before giving me one last look. Is it warning or sympathy in his eyes? I remain rooted to the spot as the room slowly empties, my mind racing. The house, Grandfather's sanctuary, our family's legacy, he left it to me. Not to Dad, not to Uncle Jason, but to me. The responsibility settles heavy in my chest. As I gather my things, my hands trembling slightly, a question burns in my mind. How far will they go to seize what isn't theirs? The answer terrifies me, but I won't back down. Grandfather trusted me with this for a reason. Looking at the will in my hands, I know this is just the beginning. They won't stop until they get what they want, or until I stop them. And right now, I'm the only thing standing between them and everything Grandfather tried to protect. Tell me what you see. I lean forward in Olivia's office chair, my heart thundering as she examines the documents spread across her mahogany desk. The afternoon sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, catching dust motes that dance around us like tiny conspirators. Olivia adjusts her wire-rimmed glasses and holds the sale agreement under a digital scanner, her dark eyes narrowing. The pressure points are inconsistent. She taps the screen, zooming in on my supposed signature. See how the lines waver here? And here? She traces the air above two spots where the ink seems to hesitate. Your authentic signatures are more fluid. My stomach clenches as I compare the forged document to my driver's license signature. The forgery is too good. Someone spent serious money to make this happen. Dad's getting desperate. Desperate enough to commit fraud. Olivia's fingers fly across her keyboard, pulling up a digital analysis. Red markers highlight the discrepancies, damning evidence appearing in stark relief. This won't hold up in court. The house is still yours, Emma. Your grandfather made sure of that. A memory surfaces. Grandfather in his study, gripping my hand that last time. Promise me you'll protect it. Asterisk he knew. He must have known Dad would try something like this. Miss Martinez? Olivia's assistant appears in the doorway. Your 3 o'clock is here. Give me 5 minutes. Olivia gathers the documents into a folder, her movements precise and controlled. Emma, we have what we need to fight this. But you should know men like your father when they're backed into a corner. She lets the warning hang in the air. I nod, gathering my purse. I know. Thank you, Olivia. The cafe is nearly empty when I meet Sophie an hour later. She's chosen a corner table, far from the few other patrons. Her hands wrap around an untouched latte, knuckles white with tension. I got your text. She glances over her shoulder before continuing. About the forged documents? Dad's trying to force through a sale. I slide into the seat across from her, keeping my voice low. But that's not why I asked you here. I need to know what else you've seen, Sophie. What else you've heard. Color drains from her face. I shouldn't. Please. I reach across the table, stopping short of touching her trembling hands. You're the only one inside the company who might help me. I know you've noticed things. Sophie's eyes dart to the door again before she pulls out her phone. 2 weeks ago, I was working late. That Uncle Roberthy didn't know I was still there. I recorded this. She slides the phone across the table, an email displayed on the screen. My breath catches as I read. The message is coded, but clear enough. Timeline accelerated. Buyers expect clean transfer by end of month. Jay has arrangements in place for secondary processing asterisk. I is Uncle Jason. Sophie nods. There's more. Check the attachment. I open it, and my heart nearly stops. Account numbers. Shell companies. A complex web of transactions, all flowing through Dad's construction projects. The scale of it staggers me. Delete it, I whisper, pushing the phone back. Right now, and Sophie. I meet her eyes. Be careful. Don't let them know you've seen this. She nods, fingers shaking as she erases the evidence. What are you going to do? I think of the house, of Grandfather's study filled with papers I haven't had time to go through, of his last desperate warning. There's something in the house, I say slowly, pieces clicking into place. Something he left for me to find. That's why Dad's pushing so hard to sell it now. Emma. Sophie's voice drops even lower. I got an email yesterday, anonymous. It said there's proof in the house, hidden somewhere. She swallows hard. Proof of everything. My mind races. Grandfather was meticulous, always 3 steps ahead. He wouldn't have left me defenseless against this. The house itself must hold the key evidence that could stop Dad's operation cold. I stand, my chair scraping against the floor. I have to go. Be careful, Sophie calls after me, fear threading through her words. Uncle Robert, he's not just desperate. He's dangerous. The drive home is a blur of strategy and memory. As darkness falls, I park in the garage and slip into the house through the kitchen door. The study waits upstairs, shadowy and still. Somewhere in this room, Grandfather left his final weapon against betrayal. I just have to find it. On a dusty shelf, his laptop sits untouched since his death. My hands tremble as I lift it, power it on. Sophie's warning echoes in my head. Asterisk. He's dangerous. Asterisk. But so is the truth, and somewhere in this house, that truth is waiting to be found. The anonymous email Sophie forwarded glows on the screen. I read it again, slower this time, parsing each cryptic line. Check the heart carved in the garden wall. Count 3 stones up, 2 across. The drawer that never opened he kept the key behind the loose brick. Asterisk. My pulse quickens. The carved heart, I remember it from childhood. Initials etched by some long-ago Carter. And Grandfather's study drawer, the one he'd always kept locked. I'd assumed he'd taken its secrets to his grave. I grab a notepad, transcribing the message with trembling fingers. Each detail seems deliberately placed, a breadcrumb trail grandfather designed for me to follow. The carved heart would lead to the key, and the key. A floorboard creaks somewhere in the house. I freeze, finger hovering over the print button. The sound came from downstairs, too heavy to be settling wood. Someone else is here. Quickly, I hit print and close the laptop. The printer whirs to life, too loud in the silence. I snatch the paper, fold it, and slip it into my pocket. Another creak, closer now. Footsteps on the stairs. My heart hammers against my ribs as I edge toward the study door. One question burns in my mind, urgent and terrifying. What evidence did grandfather hide that's worth breaking in to find? The footsteps reach the landing. I kill the desk lamp and press myself against the wall, praying the darkness is enough to hide me. Tomorrow I'll follow grandfather's trail of clues. But first, I have to survive tonight. The warehouse stench of mildew and rust fills my lungs as I crouch behind a stack of rotting wooden crates. Olivia and Sophie huddle beside me in the darkness, our breathing shallow and controlled. Through a gap in the crates, a slice of fluorescent light illuminates Dad's face as he paces the concrete floor 20 feet away. Even from here, I can see the sheen of sweat on his forehead. "Time's running out," he snaps at the shadows gathered around him. "The feds are breathing down our necks, and that little brat," the word twists like a knife in my chest, "is refusing to cooperate." A gravelly voice responds from the darkness. "You assured us this would be handled cleanly, Robert." The speaker steps into the light. Vincent Delgado, his expensive suit, a stark contrast to the decay surrounding us. Instead, we've got whispers of an investigation and a paper trail a mile long. My hand tightens around the small recording device in my pocket. Olivia touches my arm, a silent reminder to stay still. "I can fix this," Dad insists, but there's a tremor in his voice I've never heard before. "The house sale will cover everything once it's done." "And how exactly do you plan to make that happen?" Vincent's words drip with menace. "Your daughter holds the keys now, doesn't she?" A muscle twitches in Dad's jaw. "Leave Emma to me. I've got the documents ready. With or without her cooperation, that sale is happening within 48 hours. Sophie stiffens beside me. I don't need to see her face to know what she's thinking. The same thing I am. Forged papers. He's planning to fake my consent. The meeting continues, voices growing more heated as they discuss shell companies and offshore accounts. Each word is another nail in the coffin of the man I thought my father was. Olivia's surveillance equipment captures it all, but the real evidence is branded into my memory. The casual way they discuss fraud, the calculated plans to steal what's rightfully mine. Later, in our makeshift command center, an abandoned office space 3 blocks away, Olivia sorts through the intercepted communications while Sophie paces nervously behind her desk. "He's moving faster than we thought," Olivia says, fingers flying over her keyboard. "Look at these timestamps. The sale documents are already being processed." I lean over her shoulder, scanning the decoded messages. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe." She points to a string of encrypted text. "They've got a buyer lined up for tomorrow morning once those papers are filed?" "We can't let that happen." My voice is steel, surprising even me. Grandfather trusted me to protect this legacy. I won't let them destroy everything he built. Sophie stops pacing. "Emma, maybe we should talk to Uncle Robert first. Try to reason with him." The memory of his face in the warehouse, cold, calculating, already planning to forge my signature, hardens my resolve. He's had his chance to do the right thing. Now it's time for a different approach. 20 minutes later, I stand in grandfather's study, the weight of generations pressing down through the darkness. The house creaks around me, familiar sounds that used to bring comfort. Now they feel like warnings. The door opens. Dad's silhouette fills the frame, his shoulders tight with barely contained rage. "You wanted to see me?" His voice is carefully controlled, but I can hear the storm brewing underneath. "Yes." I move to grandfather's desk, place my hands on its worn surface. "We need to talk about the forged documents you're planning to file tomorrow morning." The silence stretches between us, thick with decades of lies. Through the study window, storm clouds gather on the horizon, echoing the darkness in my father's eyes. "You have no idea what you're talking about." But there's a flicker of something in his expression. Fear, maybe. or recognition that his carefully constructed world is beginning to crumble. Don't I? I reach into my pocket, withdraw the recording device. Would you like to hear what Vincent Delgado had to say about it? All color drains from his face. Behind him, Uncle Jason appears in the doorway, his expression caught between loyalty and dawning horror as the truth of our family's corruption finally comes into focus. You stupid girl. Dad's voice trembles with fury. Do you have any idea what you've done? The people you're dealing with are criminals? The word rings through the study. Like you? He lunges forward, hands slamming onto the desk between us. Everything I've done has been for this family. Number. The certainty in my voice stops him cold. Everything you've done has been for yourself. The money laundering, the fraud. You're destroying everything grandfather built. Uncle Jason steps forward, his face ashen. Robert, maybe we should. Stay out of this. Dad whirls on him. Unless you want them looking into your involvement too. The threat hangs in the air, but something has shifted in Uncle Jason's eyes. I see the moment his loyalty fractures, splintering under the weight of too many lies. After they leave, Dad's threats still echoing off the wood-paneled walls, I sink into grandfather's chair, exhausted. Sophie and Olivia hover nearby, their presence a silent comfort as I process what just happened. But something catches my eye, a slight irregularity in the bookshelf behind the desk. Standing, I run my fingers along the spine of the old leather-bound books. There, a gap, almost invisible unless you're looking for it. My heart pounds as I carefully remove the loose panel. Inside the hidden compartment, a weathered journal rests atop a stack of documents. My hands shake as I lift it out, recognizing grandfather's precise handwriting. The first page reads like a confession, a record of everything he discovered about Dad's illegal operations. Emma? Sophie's voice is barely a whisper. What is it? I clutch the journal to my chest, mind racing with the possibilities this evidence represents. It's exactly what we need. My voice catches. Grandfather knew. He knew everything, and he left us the proof to stop them. The study falls silent except for the distant rumble of thunder. In my hands, the weight of the journal feels like both a burden and a weapon. The question isn't just what secrets these pages contain, it's how far I'm willing to go to use them. The crystal chandeliers of the Riverside Conference Hall cast dancing shadows across the faces of Metro City's elite. I adjust my grip on grandfather's leather-bound journal, its presence in my clutch bag both a comfort and a weapon. Across the room, Olivia Martinez catches my eye and gives an almost imperceptible nod. Everything is in place. Ladies and gentlemen, Dad's voice carries across the crowded hall, smooth as aged whiskey. It gives me great pleasure to announce the sale of the historic Carter estate to distinguished developer Ethan Reynolds. My heart pounds against my ribs as Reynolds steps forward, his custom Italian suit and perfectly coiffed silver hair screaming old money. But I know better. 3 days of digging through grandfather's records revealed the truth about Reynolds' empire of shell companies and laundered funds. The Carter estate has been in our family for generations, Dad continues, his rehearsed speech dripping with false sentiment. While change is never easy, neither is fraud. My voice cuts through the murmuring crowd like a blade. Every head turns as I step forward, grandfather's journal clutched in my trembling hands. Or money laundering, for that matter. Dad's practiced smile falters for just a fraction of a second. Emma, sweetheart, this isn't the time or place for. Actually, it's exactly the time. I open the journal to a marked page, my voice steadier than my racing pulse. Would you like me to read what grandfather wrote about your creative accounting practices? Or should we skip straight to the forged documents you used to try and circumvent his will? The crowd's whispers grow louder. Reynolds takes a step back from Dad, his carefully maintained facade cracking. From her corner, Olivia pulls out her phone, no doubt alerting our contacts in law enforcement. You ungrateful little. Dad starts forward, but freezes as Sophie emerges from the crowd, a USB drive held high. The encrypted emails are all here, Sophie announces, her voice shaking but determined. Every transaction, every shell company, every penny laundered through the construction projects. The room erupts in chaos. I catch fragments of shocked conversations, Carter construction, federal investigation. All this time. Dad's neck flushes crimson as his criminal associates begin to edge away, distancing themselves from the impending fallout. Uncle Jason hovers uncertainly at the edge of the crowd, conflict etched in every line of his face. "You have no idea what you're doing," Dad snarls, closing the distance between us. "The people I'm involved with are currently being investigated by the FBI. I cut in, keeping my voice low. Did you really think Grandfather wouldn't leave evidence? That he wouldn't protect his legacy? A phone rings, cutting through the tension. Olivia answers, her face lighting up with grim satisfaction. "Detective Hayes," she says, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Yes, we're all still here at Riverside Conference Hall. You're 5 minutes out? Perfect." The color drains from Dad's face. He looks around wildly, but his allies have already begun to scatter. Reynolds is nowhere to be seen. Even Uncle Jason has disappeared into the crowd. I grip the journal tighter, feeling the weight of Grandfather's trust, of his faith in me. The tide of power has turned just as he planned, just as I promised him it would. "It's over, Dad," I say softly, watching his empire crumble in real time. "Grandfather knew what you were doing with the company. He made sure I would have everything I needed to stop you." Across the room, I catch glimpses of dark suits and badges as law enforcement begins to filter in through the side entrances. Dad sees them too. His face contorts with a mixture of rage and fear that makes him look like a stranger. "This isn't over," he growls, but the threat in his voice rings hollow now. I think of the house, Grandfather's sanctuary, our family's true legacy. Not a fortress for laundered money or a pawn in Dad's schemes, but a home built on integrity and trust. Everything Grandfather fought to protect, everything he entrusted to me. "You're right," I say, standing my ground as Detective Hayes approaches. "For you, it's just beginning." The courtroom buzzes with whispers as Dad strides toward the podium, his Armani suit a sharp contrast to his unraveling composure. Camera flashes punctuate the tension like lightning before a storm. I grip the edge of the wooden table, steadying myself as his words slice through the air. "My daughter is young, naive." His voice carries that familiar, patronizing tone that used to make me shrink into myself. Not anymore. She doesn't understand the complexities of business, of family legacy. If she continues down this path making these wild accusations, he turns to face me directly, eyes glinting with barely contained rage. There will be consequences that can't be undone. The threat hangs heavy in the air. A reporter's pen scratches against paper somewhere behind me. I catch Sophie's eye across the room. She gives me the slightest nod, and something in my chest steadies. "I have evidence," Dad continues, "of certain indiscretions that would be devastating if made public. Emma, please." His voice softens, dripping with false concern. "Don't force my hand." Olivia Martinez, my attorney, shifts beside me. We've prepared for this moment, anticipated every move. The weight of Grandfather's journal presses against my side where it's tucked into my briefcase, along with the stack of financial records that will shatter Dad's carefully constructed facade. I stand, and the room falls silent. "You're right about one thing," I say, my voice carrying clear and strong. "I am your daughter, which means I learned from the best about keeping receipts." Olivia steps forward, nodding to the court clerk. The projector hums to life, and the first document appears on the screen, a detailed spreadsheet tracking money movements through shell companies, each transaction highlighted in damning red. This is a record of funds flowing through Carter Construction's subsidiary accounts. Olivia explains, her professional tone masking the bombshell she's dropping. Note the pattern of deposits and withdrawals, each carefully structured to avoid detection. Dad's face drains of color. Uncle Jason, seated in the front row, leans forward with widening eyes. "But that's just the beginning," I continue, pulling out Grandfather's leather-bound journal. "This contains detailed observations of every suspicious transaction, every late-night meeting, every shell company created over the past 5 years. Grandfather didn't just suspect what you were doing, Dad. He knew. He documented everything." The journal trembles slightly in my hands, not from fear, but from the surge of adrenaline coursing through me. Dad takes a step forward, his composed mask cracking. "You're making a mistake," he hisses, low enough that only those closest can hear. "Everything I did was to protect this family's future." "Number," I meet his gaze. "Everything you did was to protect yourself." Olivia advances to the next slide. Copies of forged documents bearing my supposed signature, authorizing the sale of the house. The evidence we've gathered laid bare for all to see. Gasps ripple through the courtroom as she methodically explains each piece. The forensic analysis proving the forgery, the intercepted emails discussing the scheme, the network of offshore accounts waiting to receive laundered funds. Dad's criminal partners shift uncomfortably in their seats. I recognize some of them from those suspicious meetings at the construction office. Men in expensive suits who now look like they're calculating their fastest escape routes. Miss Carter, Judge Reynolds' voice cuts through the tension. These are serious allegations. Mr. Carter, do you wish to respond to this evidence? Dad's jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscle jump. The same tell he had that day in the study with grandfather. His silence speaks volumes. Your Honor, Olivia continues, we have Detective Marcus Hayes of the Financial Crimes Unit present and prepared to testify about the ongoing investigation into these matters. Something snaps in Dad's eyes. He spins toward Uncle Jason, who's already half rising from his seat. You told them, he snarls. You spineless. Order! Judge Reynolds' gavel crashes down. But it's too late. The carefully maintained veneer of the respected business leader crumbles as Dad lunges toward his brother. Courthouse security moves in swiftly, and I watch my father, the man I once admired, once feared, being restrained as Detective Hayes approaches with handcuffs at the ready. The cameras flash faster now, capturing every moment of his undoing. I remain standing, my heart pounding, but my voice steady as I speak one final time. The house stays in the family, Dad. Just not your version of it. Uncle Jason rises slowly from his seat, his face ashen. The entire courtroom holds its breath as he makes his way to the center of the room. His hands shake as he straightens his tie. I need to make a statement, he says, voice rough, about the forgery, about everything. His eyes meet mine, filled with a mixture of shame and relief. Emma's telling the truth. I helped Robert create those documents. I watched him build this whole scheme, and I did nothing to stop it. Sophie steps forward next, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. I have testimony as well, Your Honor. Dates, times, conversations I witnessed. The threats made against Emma when she refused to comply. The room erupts in chaos as Detective Hayes moves forward, officially placing Dad under arrest. The charges ring out clear and damning. Money laundering, fraud, conspiracy, forgery. Each word, another nail in the coffin of his reputation. I watch as they lead him away, his shoulders finally slumping in defeat. The man who once towered over my world now seems smaller somehow. Behind me, I hear the rapid-fire clicks of camera shutters, documenting every moment of this public reckoning. The judge calls for order, but I barely hear him. My mind is already racing ahead to what comes next. The questions that will need answering. The legacy that will need rebuilding. Grandfather's words echo in my memory. Promise me you'll protect it, Emma. The house, the legacy, all of it. I did, Grandfather. But standing here in the aftermath, watching the family I knew crumble and reshape itself, I can't help but wonder, what will rise from these ashes? The house is safe, the truth is out, but the real work, the work of healing, of rebuilding, that's only just beginning. Dawn spills through the restored stained glass windows, painting the foyer in fragments of amber and sapphire. I run my fingers along the freshly polished banister, breathing in the scent of lemon oil and history. The grandfather clock in the corner, the one that marked so many Carter family moments, ticks steadily, a heartbeat restored. Miss Carter? Jorge, the restoration supervisor, approaches with a tablet in hand. The last of the historical photographs have been mounted in the East Wing gallery. I follow him down the hallway, where dozens of black and white photos now line the walls in gleaming frames. There's grandfather at 20, standing proud in his army uniform. Another shows him breaking ground on his first development project, the one that launched the family business legitimately, before Dad corrupted it. My throat tightens as I spot a photo I'd almost forgotten. Grandfather and me in his study, heads bent over his collection of rare first editions. I was 12 then, oblivious to the storm brewing in our family. The archival glass will protect them from UV damage, Jorge explains, but his voice fades into background noise as memory washes over me. 3 months ago, I stood in this same spot, watching federal agents escort Dad out in handcuffs. His face had been a mask of fury and disbelief, the expression of a man who never imagined his schemes would unravel. The evidence in grandfather's journal had been irrefutable, each detailed entry revealing another layer of Dad's money laundering operation. The memory dissolves as Olivia's heels click against the hardwood floor. "Everything's official," she announces, waving a stack of documents. "The title's clear and the preservation trust is ironclad. No one can ever force a sale of this property again." "Thank you." The words feel inadequate for everything my attorney has done, but she waves off my gratitude with a warm smile. Sophie appears in the doorway, a box of old photographs in her arms. "Found these in the attic. Thought they might fit the gallery. My cousin, no, my friend now." Sets the box down carefully. "It's amazing in here, Emma. Uncle Frank would be proud." The three of us move to the living room, where morning light streams through newly restored windows. The antique furniture, each piece chosen by grandfather over decades, gleams with fresh polish. On the mantel, his collection of vintage fountain pens catches the light. I'd found them tucked away in his study, along with the journal that changed everything. Hard to believe this was the same house, Sophie muses, sinking into a leather armchair. Remember how dark it felt during the will reading? Now it's like it can breathe again. I finish, understanding exactly what she means. Olivia spreads the trust documents on the coffee table. "The community outreach program is ready to launch whenever you are. 3 local families have already applied for the educational grants." My chest swells with something that feels like purpose. The house will never again be a fortress of secrets and lies. Instead, it's becoming what grandfather always envisioned, a place of learning, growth, and second chances. Through the bay window, I watch volunteers preparing the garden for tomorrow's community gathering. They're planting wildflowers in beds where nothing grew for years, the colors a riot of purple, yellow, and white against rich soil. One bed has been reserved for the rose bushes grandfather loved, the ones Dad ordered removed years ago. They'll bloom again next spring. The grandfather clock chimes 10, its sound resonating through rooms no longer choked with tension and deceit. Each note feels like confirmation, like grandfather's voice saying, "This is what I protected it for. This is what I knew you could do." Asterisk. I move to the window, pressing my palm against the cool glass. The morning sun illuminates every corner of the property, from the restored Victorian greenhouse to the winding gravel paths. No more shadows, no more secrets, just light, possibility, and the steady foundation of truth that grandfather helped me build. "Ready for tomorrow?" Sophie asks, joining me at the window. I nod, watching a monarch butterfly drift through the garden. "Ready for everything that comes next."